Hey guys, this is Crab Hunter and welcome to War Thunder. Now this video here I'm just going to dedicate to my favourite plane in the entire game at the moment. I say at the moment because I haven't discovered any other ones yet, but at the moment it is, for the British, the Hurricane Mark II, a Tier 3 British fighter plane, and my god, is it fantastic. Oh my god. Um, it's very nice. It's got 12 30 caliber machine guns. If it will show you, actually I'll just show you there. It's got 12 30 caliber machine guns. It has got, okay, not the world's greatest turn time. Climbing isn't so grand. Speed-wise is very good, and can fly relatively high, which is quite nice. And generally speaking, she's a very good Tier 3 fighter. But what I love the most about this plane is the ability it has to mulch planes into oblivion. This thing is immensely handy. In fact, I've had better success with this than I have with either the Spitfire Mark II. If it'll load. There you go. There's the Spitfire Mark II, the famous Spitfire with its 20mm cannons. The Germans as well. You've got the German AO, which I've had success in, but not as much as I have with this thing. And it is pretty much all down to those 12 30 caliber machine guns. It is just a fantastic plane and I love it. I mean, obviously you want to upgrade the plane as much as possible, you know. I haven't fully upgraded it, but once you start getting, to be honest with you, even if you've started the plane out, until you get, maybe when you get the stealth ammunition, which doesn't take you too long. It doesn't take you too long at all. When you get that, because don't forget, if you get that, you basically unlock all the ammunition. So you get that and you're sorted, which just makes this thing so deadly in the air. So before we go into the replay, which shows just how effective this thing is, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons about this plane. Now, I don't know much, and I'm not a very experienced person, but what I can tell you is this. Obviously, the strongest and most powerful part about this plane is simply the guns. Now, she can be armed with rockets. So if you just want to know, there are 6 152mm rockets, which can be very dangerous and very powerful. However, they do affect your ability to drag. It'll slow you down, and it will make you take longer to fly. Well, make you longer to turn. So be aware about that. I mean, people out there say that a Hurricane with the rockets are very powerful and deadly, but I would state that a Hurricane without any rockets is just as deadly. I mean, yeah, you can throw rockets and yeah, you can throw rockets and knock out enemy fighters, which is funny. And of course, there are practical uses as well. You want to knock out your objectives, but this thing really isn't meant for knocking out objectives. The reason why, it's very fragile. This thing cannot take too much of a hit because it's mostly built of wood. With other planes, for example, the American planes, most of them are like made out of steel at that point. You've got metal, it's all metally, it's all like, you know, all designed to take a punch. So they generally last longer in combat. Whereas with the British fighters, especially the Hurricanes, they don't last very long in fights. So really what you want to utilize this thing for is dogfighting. You want to use this thing to shoot down enemy planes, and it's very good for doing that. You can achieve the same kind of success with the Hurricane Mark I. Obviously this is pretty much teaching you how to use a Hurricane. And I'll be honest with you, I am very surprised at how effective a Hurricane is. You'd normally go into this game expecting the Spitfire to be the dominative plane, because it's tier 4, of course, and it's got the same amount of weapons. It's got, how many of these things are there? 8 machine guns, which is the same as the Hurricane. It's got 8 machine guns there, the same caliber machine guns. There you go. Same ammunition as well, which is quite crazy. But haven't had as much success with this plane as I've had with this plane, which is a bit odd, isn't it? Just a bit. I mean, obviously, I've upgraded most of these things, but I reckon maybe after a while I'll be able to get some decent repairs, and maybe I might be able to get some decent success with this thing. But I haven't had as much fun or as much enjoyment as I've had with the Hurricane. So, just a little tip: if you're going through the British aircraft line and you're wondering what planes to utilize first, or at least to focus on and practice with, to be able to be a good fighter, get a Hurricane. Hurricanes are amazing, and they will help you out a ton. I mean, obviously the Spitfire marks, once they get higher and higher tiered, then maybe. But at the same time, I still recommend these. Hurricanes are the most amazing things, and they will mess up your opponent's aircraft really quickly, especially with the stealth ammunition. That is another thing I'd highly recommend. The normal ammunition does a fine job, but the stealth ammunition is perfect. I mean, all planes work better with stealth ammunition, but for the Hurricane, it's deadly with stealth ammunition. So I'm just going to quickly take you to the battle that I was talking about, where I utilise this thing to the fullest extent, and you'll see what I'm talking about. See you there. And we're back. So here we are. So here we are in Stalingrad. This is a domination match. For any of you guys who don't know, the aim of the objective is to capture one or more of these bases marked A, B, C. Our opponents, which are those lovely little speckled dots in the distance, need to try and capture the objective as well. There are also tanks and allied vehicles that we need to attack to reduce their ticket numbers. So first off, no one was going for objective A, and despite allies attempting to go in and try and help in and try and do something, unfortunately they weren't going to go for A. So I decided to go in and try and capture it myself. So what I'm doing now is I'm shaking my plane. I'm trying to lose as much airspeed as possible. There I am, swimming like a fish. Swim, swim, swim. And basically I'm just trying to slow my aircraft down as much as humanly possible. That is really pressing E and Q, if you're wondering, really helps when it comes to slowing your aircraft down. So as you can see at this point, although it doesn't show it in the replay, we actually had captured it by this point and got some experience, so that was pretty good. So now by this point I'm just trying to slowly get the speed back up, trying to slowly move into position so I can then start moving over towards our objective B, which is currently being contested at this point. Not B, was it C? It was C. I apologise, they looked rather far away. So at this point I'm looking at this Ju-87 heading towards our vehicles to try and knock them out. But for some reason I thought at this point that fighter had been, I think it was because of the sunlight, I thought he was shot down. So I moved away, thinking about going for another objective. Here I am, there is a Bf-1110, and also there was a Spitfire, and also there was a Dornier 227. So I wasn't really sure which fighter to go for. I was starting to make my way towards attacking him, but then I was going over towards C. And then all of a sudden Mr. Gumper comes out the sky trying to shoot at me, so I'm like, ah crap, gotta dodge. So I luckily dodge a few shots made by Gumper. So now I'm on it. Now the Gumper is flying a Dornier 217. This is basically just like a medium style fighter. It's got a gunner at the rear and a powerful cannon at the front. What was it? Ah yes, there was a Hurricane coming in as well. So the Hurricane coming in to try and back up, so I thought, right, no, let's get rid of him, knock him out. Although it doesn't actually show much in the way of damage, I was able to hit the enemy, as you can see there, that suffered damage to the fuselage, and that quick burst sent him down. 1, 2, 3, bang, there was the first kill. So that small burst fire was enough to knock out the Hurricane, and he had the same aircraft as I had. It was a Hurricane Mark II. Hurricane? Hurricane. So, oh dear. The Grumper flying around was now starting to target our aircraft and trying to knock down our stuff. So by this point we were like, right, we all got a swarm on him. And once again, utilising those 12 machine guns, burst fire going straight for his fuselage, always a good idea. But Grumper was really good. Grumper though, doing very well though, keeping us busy. Currently he's trying to shoot down our Ju-87, and I'm trying to aim for his fuselage/engines. It was by this point that I was still desperately trying to shoot this guy, and it was then at this point that I finally got the aircraft pilot. So at this point I was very happy, I got it, and I somehow got bomber rescuer, even though our Ju-87 had already been shot down. Who'd have thought. So after the 2 kills, I went over towards this line here, because I realised, oh, that Ju-87 4, who I thought I was, gonna get, actually still alive. So I decided to go chase after him for a bit, and his mate decides to fly into the ground because he fancied it. So at this point, I'm aiming. 3, 2, 1. Ba 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 ba. One burst fire, and he was gone. That's how effective this thing is. It's great. Now over in the distance, as you can see, C as the base objective is being hotly contested for, with multiple casualties already being taken. So at this point I was starting to chase after their Spitfire when all of a sudden Grumper comes back wanting revenge. So I think, right, okay Mr. Grumper, you want it, I'll give it. So once again we do get off, definitely trying to make sure that Grumper goes down because he is a very powerful plane and I don't really want him flying around shooting my allies down. So at this point I'm just peppering shots into him. It makes it very difficult, but luckily I get the enemy gunner, which in most cases sounds a bit like a free meal. Ding 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 ding, get your meal. And as you can see now, all three of us, I think more than 4 or 5 fighters are coming in, and watch your allies to the left, and they go down as well. And it was at this point that Grumper was shot down by our, but unfortunately another kill was denied by our allies and stupidity. So, well done allies, well done enemy. Grumper, kudos to you. It was at this point that another BF-1110 appears, but I had run out of ammunition. So now I was just desperately flying around, and then I just then reloaded, and so then I basically peppered that guy to buggery. So I was just hitting his flaps, hitting his engine, bang, 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 and then I see he's suffered damage of his elevator. It was by this point his mates were coming around trying to get reinforcements. And then wild BF-109 appears, and at this time I had no idea I was being shot at by a BF-109. So I think, oh hello, it's a BF-109. Okay, I'll go get it. Disadvantage of an energy fighter. So at this point I'm like, hang on Mr. Bomber, I'm on it. Bang 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 bang, bang bang bang, and I hit his tail control. So at this point I think what happened was he ejected out of that plane because obviously you can't control a plane without a tail. And that's when I spot a high, ooh, HE-111. Ooh, that's awesome. Tasty, tasty HE-111. Of course he's being peppered by loads of other people, but you know, free kill's a free kill. So I pepper this guy quite a bit. And once again, the stealth ammunition working its charms, doing its damage, killing off the gunners. Really effective at knocking out gunners, by the way. And after we take care of the HE-111, I spot 2 targets. One, a HE-112, and a Blenner. Now these guys are flying really quickly towards our base, and we're like, right, get the hell out there! Save the base! And at the first point, I thought I was going to go for the HE-112, but then he seems to have disappeared, so then I thought, actually no, I'm going to get this bugger on the ground, because he's almost going to catch the point. And this could have saved it, actually. So one massive long burst, trying to shoot him, and bang! There's a kill. We saved the base, and oh, it was awesome. I felt like I think it was a game-saving moment, because if he was able to capture it, it would have been very hard to land and get points again. So by this point, the game is now starting to look very much in our favour, with the opponent team being completely destroyed. And the rest of the enemy bombers are now starting to be swarmed by our allied fighters, which is not too grand, and it's now starting to become very quiet for the little old Hurricane. So whilst I see that the A-20 is about completely screwed, I decide to go for the AAA as, I decided to go for the AAA because I think, well look, if I can't shoot any planes down, I might as well help out with the ground force. Well, unfortunately someone heard about that and decided to steal the kill. So it was by this point we're now starting to head towards Objective B, where the last few stragglers of enemy fighters are going. Oh, by the way, check this out. Grumper, once again, another bomber, check this out. Gets shot, oof, just dodges it. Really good flying, Grumper. Kudos to you, man. You are a very good pilot, especially since you're choosing the wrong aircraft to fly. I feel sorry to you about shooting him. Once again, the stealth ammunition hits its mark and sets him on fire. And then at this point, a MiG appears. And unfortunately I wasn't able to save the poor bastard in that other plane. However, I was able to pepper this guy silly, killing him very quickly. And then, oh, hello, more fighters appear, and then a Spitfire Mark II appears. Ooh, that was a close one. Almost hit him there. And by this point, the game had ended. So that resulted in... the end result was 7 kills, 0 deaths, as you can tell, and a crap ton of points. I got Fighter Trophy and I got On-Hand Trophy. I would consecutively say that was probably one of my best games. I think I've still got the results because I haven't actually touched this game afterwards. There you go. Now, bearing in mind, I'm actually running a non-premium account. This is just a standard account, standard stuff, and I got 14,000 golden lions for it, or lions, and I got 12,000 experience points, all on one fighter. I really like this fighter. I really, really like this fighter. I freaking love it, and it's such a handy thing. But, once again, it is really easy to be shot down. So you've got to really balance the two. You've got to have the ability to fly in there and pepper the bastard with as much shots as possible. But also, you've got to have the ability of having a parallel vision and be able to sort of parallel... oh my god, I've forgotten the word. That is so stupid. Parallel? It's not parallel. I'm going to find out. I'm going to remember the word at some point. But basically, you've got to have your peripheral, there we go, peripheral vision to be able to spot who's around that person. Because otherwise, if you're not careful, you can easily find yourself getting shot down. And it wastes such a perfect opportunity with this thing. It is such a fantastic aircraft. And if you're a new War Thunder player, I highly recommend you play this aircraft because it is just fantastic. Really easy to fly, relatively simple to use, and really enjoyable when you know how to fly, when you master this thing. I mean, Jesus Christ, yeah, I love this thing. Such a good fighter. I'm pretty much a dog fighter, I reckon. Energy flying I can do, but I really, really like dog fighting. It's just the only sad part I could ever say is the fact that it's a shame it's not a Spitfire or a Spitfire Mark II. Even though I haven't actually upgraded this thing, it's still kind of a shame because it's like, Spitfire's an iconic aircraft, and you wouldn't think that a Hurricane could do that because this was more for bombers. The Spitfire would go for the fighters, and this would go for the Heinkels. But to be honest, I would choose this over the Spitfire any day. It's just my favourite aircraft, and I call her Nighthawk because of it. I rarely call things when I call something a different name, you know I like it because it means that I'm willing to forego its original name because I like it that much. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you like this kind of content, or you like this style of content, and to be honest I quite enjoy it too, then feel free to let me know by clicking on the like button, commentating down south on the commentation section, or if you like my content enough to subscribe to my channel, then cheers. All appreciated. Any feedback as well is always appreciated. As much as I've been doing this for now about a year, I'm still quite the amateur, so if you guys could provide feedback on the comment section, that would be fantastic. Anyway, that's about it really, so thank you very much for watching. This is Crap Hunter signing out.